Sweet. It's my favorite part. I'm going to call the planning board meeting for March 11th, City of Lavaca to order. Um, We're going to move down. We have quorum. Everything's in order. So we're just going to move on to action item 1, approval of Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Do I have any corrections or notes on the minutes from the last meeting? Everybody get a chance to review those. Spell check. Put his name's wrong. We used all the correct yours and theirs.
You see, it's all good.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve minutes or motion to
Actually,
approve?
there is a correction.
What do we have?
Uh,
Clerical or
no, Gary's last name is spelled wrong on page 3,
page 3?
and then board is spelled wrong right after that.
Okay.
Top.
I'll get common missing
You
too.
didn't catch that?
Oh.
All right. No substantive changes. All right. So with those changes, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Okay.
A second by Gary. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. We carried.
Okay, Justin.
Yes, ma'am.
It's spelled wrong all throughout the document.
Okay.
So.
Do you have ID? We'll sort that out afterwards.
I can confirm.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to item number 2. We need to consider and vote on a board member attendance requirement. I believe some other boards on the city have attendance requirements. We're looking to come up with a similar policy for ours. Did you guys have anything written up for us, or do we just want to discuss that board wide?
Wasn't it a 3-month consecutive?
3 consecutive.
3 consecutive. It's typical for our boards.
Is that regular meetings or is that special meetings?
Regular meetings. Regular meeting.
So 3 regular meetings missed in a row would default you from the board. You'd need to be reappointed. That's what we're going for. Anybody have any questions, comments, clarifications on that proposal? Okay. I make a motion to accept something like that. Can I get a second? Second by Cindy. All right. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 3, a little bit more housekeeping. Consider and vote on time and meeting dates for the planning board. We had a little bit of an issue with attendance, timing, dating from a couple of our members, and we had a couple of discussions in the last meetings. We were pitching around different Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays and Thursdays, and I think what we said preliminarily was we would just move this meeting back to 6 o'clock.
We did, but
Do we have any further comments from, you were going to send out a thing or ask more comments? So what do we, where are we at on?
Well, Lindy did say that I think her league starts back up again in August, and so at that time she'll miss them too.
She'd be out 6 months straight with this league.
So after this league is done, she'll have a small break, and then it'll start back up again. And
Doesn't solve our problem.
well, it's not going to solve the problem with her.
Okay.
So the 5:30 thing is
That's my problem.
too early.
Yeah, because we moved offices. We were downtown Victoria, and now we're over 1 block away from Faith Family Church. It takes me normally 14 minutes to get from my office to the bypass, to the bridge.
Mhm.
And then I have to drive 83 miles an hour.
Oh, no, yeah.
Officer Rick. Yeah, so the 6 o'clock, I don't think is too big of an ask. I think
No.
our issue is coming up with a date that everyone can reasonably make. And Jody, there was something about Mondays, but not interfering with the city council Monday, because that was the original reason we moved up Monday. You can't do Monday at all.
No,
What about
Okay.
Tuesdays? Tuesdays not good or?
this is good for me. That would be not
Tuesday's
Monday.
Okay, so that would be, did we get any kind of feedback on, did we do any kind of survey aside from 5 to 6? Did we ask like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday with any?
no, we just
Didn't?
did the 2 that were
Okay.
but that's what she had told us the same thing. And Miss Lindy just told us that back in August, she was gonna start up because it was really just them 2.
Okay.
So,
So Wednesday's no good with her bowling league, which we can try to accommodate by moving to Tuesday.
I'm still good with Tuesdays.
Tuesday's fine with you. Just
Still good.
objections to 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, same week.
No, I'm good. I'm good Monday through Friday.
We're not all quite as liberated as you.
Third,
Would consider, I think we would still want to do the fourth Tuesday
okay.
of the month. Is it still accurate with you guys? We could still get that stuff. I don't want to overlap y'all's paperwork too much with
No, that works out well because that way council will be shortly after that. So when somebody goes to planning board,
we'll get it.
not waiting a month or however,
That's not gonna rush you guys from us.
No. No, it's been working out well so far.
So we can do. So the general consensus I'm hearing is 6 PM
Mhm.
on the fourth
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday's still
Tuesday,
gonna
no.
affect Wendy.
Does she have it on Tuesday,
Yeah,
Wednesday,
'cause
and Thursday?
our meetings are normally the last Tuesday of the month.
So
At
right now, we're the
5:30.
fourth Tuesday.
We're on a
Now,
right now.
we're
we're
having
on-
a special meeting today is why it's on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday does.
Leagues are on Tuesday.
Yeah.
What days?
Wednesday works for her. Today works for her.
I'm not for sure about that.
Without
Okay.
here.
What did she say anything about that?
She didn't say anything about Wednesday. She just said.
She said it was Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What she.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Then are we okay with a Wednesday? I know that was
I'm okay with a
we're
Wednesday.
concerned
I'm
with
pretty with
church
Yeah,
related.
you good with
That
that?
was kind of
Good with any day.
Wednesday.
Except Monday and Friday.
Wednesday's great.
Is on Thursday.
I've always got to get out of school and everything.
Broncos not a legitimate excuse.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday.
I think Wednesday's fine to me. And they make for long days, but I think Wednesday's fine.
At 6 o'clock. What?
6 o'clock. Okay, so we're scratching that 6 PM on the fourth Wednesday.
Mhm.
That's what we have
At 6 PM.
at 6 PM.
6 PM.
That is what we are considering. Is there any other considerations? Is there anybody have any kind of overlaps? Nobody's planning on joining a different type of league anytime soon. Maybe to church. I'm not gonna teach that league or anything this year. It's fine. Okay, so then I guess let's vote on that. If anyone who's for 6 PM, fourth Wednesday of the month, give me an aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to that, say aye. No, this motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
We start
Next month,
in April.
we'll just move it over a day. Can we just do that? Next month. All right, I'm just gonna put April on the bottom of
If
this.
we get anything on the planning board for this month, it'll still be at 5:30. I don't think we'll have anything, but just in case,
For the end of March.
for the end of March.
That's fine. We can wing it one more month.
Okay.
And then April we'll do. That way we don't have to change any of the scheduling and everybody will be aware of it after our special meeting, our normal meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
The 22nd. 22nd.
All right, cool.
I'll let y'all know ahead of time to make sure we have something on the agenda.
I'll be late.
We'll do it one more time. Okay, all right, unless there's any additional housekeeping, let's go on to action item 4, review the presentation of chapter 1.0, planning context and appendix A, the existing city by Baxter and Woodman. And I believe everybody got a copy of that, some of us in print. I'm just gonna throw that to you guys. How can we help? What do we got?
Okay, so we're prepared to answer any questions that you all might have regarding chapter 1, planning context, and the appendix A, the existing city, but that's not what we wanted to present this evening.
I see.
So we're happy that you all received those documents. We haven't received any comments back from the city yet. We feel like all of this information is very accurate, but we encourage you all to review that. The chapter 1 gives you a really good overview of all of the demographic kind of information, population projections, et cetera. And then the existing city report, we relegate that to an appendix, as we've talked about in the past, because this is a future-oriented planning program. So this is all existing information. So that's a separate document. We usually include it as an appendix, but So that's all of the existing information. So the comprehensive plan is going to be all future related. So, that's that. Please.
I do want to, I'm going to pull a Betty here, on the comprehensive plan, the chapter. I was, under the municipal staff, Jim Rudelot was not spelled, his last name was not spelled correctly.
Oh, okay, good.
You don't
And,
spell
and Gary was left off.
you don't spell it.
Good. That was left off. Good.
Yeah,
No.
Well, you didn't get your name wrong at least.
yeah, didn't misspell it.
Grown. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Very grown. Very grown. Oh, sounds funny. You got it on there. Okay, cool.
So do you all have any other agenda items for this evening, or is it all us?
Yeah, no, after the questions and review of 1.0, it's just kind of an open-ended. So you guys have the floor.
Okay, good. Thank you. Well, let me say first off, thank you very much for setting up this special planning board meeting. We really appreciate that. Again, my name's Aaron Tooley. I'm a planner working with Baxter and Woodman. This is my colleague, Brianna Barr. Tonight we're gonna go over a bunch of information that is very much draft. This is all a work in progress, but we wanted to share it with you because we have a relatively tight timeline because council wants to act on zoning. And so in order to do that, we need to make sure that everybody's in alignment with our proposed future land use map. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about our approach to developing the future land use map. We wanted to go over some of the things we've learned through the Victoria Economic Development Corporation, how that has impacted the future land use map and the thoroughfare plan. We're also going to present to you our draft active transportation plan, and then also some other things. But then we want to get into zoning related considerations and the relationship of zoning to this whole comprehensive planning program. So that's what we wanted to share with you tonight. So we like to embrace a kind of a character-based approach when we're developing land use, future land use map. So this is a slide that I've used in the past. It was actually I was working on a project up in Michigan City, Indiana, up in northern Indiana. Michigan City is a city of about 30,000 people, but they're destined to grow fairly rapidly because of the double tracking of the South Shoreline that will then enable people to live in Michigan City and get to Chicago in under an hour. So they're about to explode. But so here, this slide shows you two Chinese restaurants. One is on the right, it's a Panda Express, and then you can see it more in its context. It's in a kind of a strip center, like in a mall or something like that. And then on the left, you see a Chinese restaurant. It's a little corner restaurant in the middle of downtown. But what we want to show you here is that the land use is the same, right? It's the same land use, but the character is completely different. One is in downtown. It's part of a larger fabric, but the other is in the middle of a parking lot. So when it comes to the character of the land use, that's what's important to us. We want to make sure that we're matching up the land use character to what you all want to see. So that's just an example of what we're talking about. So there's a firm, as I'm sure you all have heard of, Duane Plater Zyberg. They developed Kentlands in the Panhandle of Florida. I beg your pardon. They developed Seaside in the Panhandle of Florida. Kentlands was another project that I actually worked on probably about 30 years ago or so, but that's up in Montgomery County, Maryland. But Duane Plater Zyberg developed a smart code, which was an effort in streamlining zoning based on community character. And what they're trying to show here in this illustration, it's always overly simplified, but you can think of a city as being a series of densities that are the most dense in the core of downtown. And then as you move toward the outskirts of the town or the city, it becomes less dense. And so you have these what they call different transects that show how a city's density changes. So out in the rural areas, it's going to be much less dense. In the urban areas, it's going to be much more dense. So that's just a quick illustration. We know that this is an oversimplification, but it's good for discussion purposes. So when we think about like rural character versus urban character, and then when we think about in between the suburban character of places, it has a lot to do with the amount of green space, or conversely, the amount of concrete and asphalt. So on the right-hand side, you see that pie chart where you have a very thin sliver of green space, but you have a lot of brown and a lot of gray. So you have a lot of building mass and you have a lot of concrete, asphalt, and that kind of stuff. Compared to on the left, the rural, it's predominantly open space and green space and just a tiny little sliver of built environment there. So, and then there's a whole range of in between. And that's kind of this kind of suburban area where in some cases a more suburban development has equal parts green space, built environment, and gray space. So another example of how we embrace a character-based approach. We're thinking in terms of how much green space do we need to include in certain areas. Now, this slide shows on the one hand, this is our proposed draft future land use map on the left. And then you have a typical zoning map on the right. And this was for the city of what's that city?
Magnolia.
Magnolia, I beg your pardon. Okay. So I want to just explain really quickly the difference between a future land use map and the zoning map. The future land use map is a policy document. It indicates where preferred land uses ought to be located based on a variety of things, based on circulation, based on where people live, based on where existing land uses are, et cetera. A zoning map is a regulatory document. That's what basically enforces what's on the future land use map. So there ought to be a one-to-one relationship between a proposed designated land use and a zoning district. So, for example, let's say we have general residential as a land use designation. That could then equate to, based on density, that could be R2, R3, R4. Again, we're going to subdivide that up a little bit, but again, there should be a one-to-one relationship between the land use designation and the zoning district. So that's an important thing. So I'm just trying to underscore that there is a relationship between the two. One is for regulating, the other is for policy purposes. Now, when we get into character classifications, and we're going to talk about this first, and then we'll get into land use designations. But we have identified several character classifications that compose, or that the city of Port Lavaca is made up of. So you have a rural character classification, mainly on the outskirts. Then there is a suburban kind of character classification where we can consider neighborhoods or business parks as well. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Then what we have a designation called neighborhood conservation. And this is an area where, for example, if you have an existing residential neighborhood, let's say it consists of 95 residences, and there are 5 vacant lots in that residential neighborhood. Well, what we'd like to do when we're thinking about designating, if we designated that 100-unit neighborhood as a rural conservation neighborhood, we're saying that the way this neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood is all set up. We want to make sure that those additional 5 lots, when they're developed, that the buildings they're situated in the same way all the other buildings are in that particular neighborhood. So this will simplify the zoning significantly because what we'll be doing is saying, okay, whatever is built on that parcel, that vacant parcel in that neighborhood, it's basically got to have the same building setbacks, maybe the same general size or the bulk of the house. We don't want some massive 3-story residence being built in a place where the other 95 buildings are all 1-story, right? So we're trying to maintain the character of that neighborhood for a variety of reasons, just so everything looks kind of the same. People are more comfortable with that. Property values remain the same, et cetera. So instead of like building a 3 or 4-story building, we could say we don't want an individual manufactured home going in that neighborhood either, because it's going to look totally different. It's going to look in character, but it's also going to decrease the property values potentially of all of the other houses in that neighborhood. So neighborhood conservation is an attempt to designate specific neighborhoods in terms of the form and character of those neighborhoods. Now, neighborhood restoration, of which Port Lavaca has some neighborhoods where the whole neighborhood needs to basically be restored. There's nothing that you want to hold on. There aren't any handles that you want to say, okay, any new buildings that are going to come in are going to look like this building, because that building's not in the best of shape. So a neighborhood restoration neighborhood would be one where we need to the parameters of what that kind of new development wants to look like, because we want to improve the entire neighborhood rather than worrying about just one house. But how does the new house start building this new sense of character? So that's what we're talking about when we're saying neighborhood restoration. This character areas map, it has all of these different areas delineated, if you will, and we'll provide all of this to you for further scrutiny. When it comes to auto-urban or auto-oriented development, this primarily has to do with commercial development, but it does include multifamily housing, like an apartment complex. And I'll get into this momentarily, but auto-oriented development, what we're calling auto-urban, is basically looking at strip centers and other types of development where the automobile is a driving force of that development. So when you think about a strip center, you have a bunch of an aggregation of retail shops, and you have a long strip kind of parking lot in the front of it. People can pull in, run into the store, come out. There's no green space. It's not really urban at all. The building is kind of pushed off of the street, so it's not very walkable, but it represents a convenient kind of development. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Urban development, like what you have in your downtown, is something where, again, you can envision the kind of character. The buildings are all the same setback. They're right up on the sidewalk. So it's very walkable. You have on-street parking, but then any off-street parking might be behind the building. But that represents, again, a certain kind of character of development. So within an urban kind of land use designation, we would have your central business district. You'd have an urban kind of residential housing prototype that might include a loft, a residential loft apartment on the second floor of a retail shop, something like that. When it comes to industrial, we recognize what an industrial land use is. It's a very extractive enterprise. There might be some environmental nuisance as far as particulate matter. There might be a lot of noise. There might be some odors, stuff like that. But So industrial land uses, we're gonna want to buffer away from other kinds of land use. You don't want residential right beside an industrial land use. Public institutional land use, that has, or a character classification, that has to do with everything from schools to large churches to governmental buildings, etc. But they're more public in nature. Those could be libraries as well. But they too have more of a campus-like character, if you will, compared to all the other land uses. And then the final kind of character classification would be parks and open space. And that's kind of a given where it's predominantly like 99% green space with some facilities and that kind of thing to facilitate whatever kind of recreational stuff you're doing. So these are kind of the character classifications within which we start really looking at the various land use designations. So I'm going to go through very quickly under each character classification. So what we have identified what the designated land uses would be for that classification. So for a rural classification, we're looking at predominantly undeveloped agricultural land. And that's kind of all the light green shaded land outside of the city. And let me back up and just say that for the purposes of this comprehensive plan, our planning area is the city limits, but it's also your extraterritorial jurisdiction, which wraps around the city as well. So we're looking at all of that because it's within the ETJ where the city, if there are requests for annexation, it's going to be within that contiguous area immediately around the city limits. So when we're talking about rural land, it's not going to be in your city limits. It's going to be outside of your city limits in undeveloped areas. So the two land use designations that we're looking at, one is, again, rural undeveloped, and the other is rural residential. You can imagine that the types of rural residential around the outskirts of town, they're single family homes that are largely set way back off the road. You might have some outbuildings like farm buildings, a detached garage maybe behind the building, that kind of thing. But it's a very kind of separated series of residences, unlike a residential subdivision. So those are the two land use designations that would fit under the rural character classification. Now, when it comes to suburban, there are two different types we're looking at. One land use is just general residential, whatever kind of residential. These could be single family detached buildings. They could be single family attached buildings, that kind of thing. We like to use the term missing middle because there are a variety of different residential typologies that where you can maintain the character of a neighborhood, but you can increase the density by making the building an attached duplex, for example, or something like that. But the other thing that we want to underscore here is that when it comes to light industrial land uses, the land uses where there might be some minimal assembly, but it's mainly warehouse, storage, distribution, that kind of thing. Those are largely, they're not extractive. They don't have a bunch of environmental nuisance. They do have a large degree of green space around them. They don't need to be significantly buffered, but in a lot of ways, this is a suburban kind of land use as well. It's just not one that you live in, but it does have that kind of equal amount of green space to built space as well. So when it comes to light industrial, that's what we're calling a business park, and that could also be like an office park as well. High degree of open space, et cetera. As we talked about before, neighborhood conservation, this is just how do we preserve the existing character of existing neighborhoods. Neighborhood restoration, and here in the character areas map, any area that has been delineated with the pink line are areas that we believe that those neighborhoods they need some renovation assistance. We talked a little bit about the last time we met. Sorry,
A lot of pink.
there's some pink there, yeah. But he talked about how the benefits of the city employing this TERS going forward, how that's going to impact public open space, streetscape improvements, that kind of thing. But as Justin, as you had pointed out, there needs to be some other vehicle or mechanism through which we can start renovating some of our dilapidated neighborhoods, that kind of thing, because a TERS isn't going to do it. So these are the areas where we're going to want to focus those tools, those renovation related tools that we're going to employ in the housing and neighborhoods chapter. And we'll talk about that the next time we're in town. But again, that's what neighborhood restoration is all about. Again, when it comes to auto-oriented character or auto-urban, we're looking at multifamily residential, and you can envision these compared to like an urban apartment complex. These are typically like 2 to 3 stories tall. You have stairwells on the ends of the buildings. You have potentially outside hallways. But then you'll have the interior core will be where your amenities are, like your swimming pool, cabana, grills, that kind of thing. And then the perimeter of these multifamily apartments complexes, it's like that's where all your parking is. So we see that as being, or we're classifying multifamily residential in that context as an auto-urban or auto-oriented character. A manufactured home park is very similar. That is it's a much more auto-oriented development pattern, but it could be more suburban depending on how much green space you employ within that manufactured home park. And then again, general commercial, whether it is a Target, whether it's a Walmart, whether it's a strip center, all of that's much more auto-oriented, and it would fall within this auto-urban classification. I know this is like drinking from a fire hose, but does this make sense to you all, or do you have any questions at this time? I don't mean to oversimplify it, or make it too complicated. Good? Okay. When it comes to urban land uses, within the urban character classification, of course, we're thinking about the central business district. We're also wanting to consider mixed use, where you have a mixture of residential, commercial, and office, for example. So mixed use enterprises. And also then we'd be thinking about urban residential as well. And you have some very successful urban residential just outside of downtown, we believe as well. So those are the land uses that would fall within the urban character classification. And then lastly, again, industrial. This is one area, the Harbor of Refuge area is certainly an industrial land use. And you have industrial, of course, development all over Point Comfort, et cetera. So that's another important land use that we'll discuss here momentarily. Lastly, or another, again, public institutional, we talked about that. And then parks and open space. So all of those land uses are within the character areas map, although they're faded out a little bit, but we will then move to your future land use map. So this was, to begin with, this is your current future land use map. This is what was in the 2016 comprehensive plan that council adopted. And I'm not exactly sure why they didn't, their planning area, you can see the planning area, but they didn't go out into the extraterritorial jurisdiction to start thinking about land uses. But you can see that the red is always, these are traditional land use colors for the most part, but the red represents commercial land use there is a whole lot of commercial land use proposed, particularly along your heavily traveled corridors, et cetera. We're a little concerned about coloring up too much of a map when we recognize that basically when it comes to population projections, Port Lavaca is kind of flatlining right now. In fact, we may be experiencing negative growth over the next 20 years rather than positive. So we typically don't see the need or the value of coloring up a whole map with all these different colors when it's not going to happen that way, right? It may happen that way 20 years from now. If the Formosa builds a major plant to the north of town or something like that, that could be a complete game changer. And you're going to want to come back and start reevaluating this comprehensive plan. And let me also say that these comp plans, these planning documents, they're basically obsolete the day they are printed, right? So you've got to always be keeping up with these things because things are always changing. I mean, the only thing that's going to stay the same in the future is change, right? So one of the first things you're going to want to be amending, and we'll go through this within our implementation chapter, we lay out a schedule of how your comp plan ought to be reevaluated on an annual basis, amended, updated every 5 to 10 years, et cetera, as you're currently doing. Now, that's your 2016 future land use map. This is our draft land use map right now, and you can see on the right the various land use designations that we are proposing using, and then how they are located on the future land use map. So this is going to take you all some time to think through, but one thing we're really looking at is, again, neighborhood commercial. How can we employ neighborhood commercial so we can reduce the amount of trip times that people take? We're also proposing a large industrial area to the north of town. And that would be buffered through a business park between the existing residential just north of 35 and the causeway and that proposed industrial area. But we feel that that's an important area. It's currently owned by Formosa. And when it comes to, Derek brought up a good point the other day, when it comes to predominant wind direction and stuff like that, most of any kind of industrial development there, the winds would be probably most likely coming out of the south to southwest. And so the city wouldn't be impacted by that industrial area if there was some sort of environmental nuisance there. But so that's one of the things that we're really encouraging, that it's basically that area is largely owned by industry right now. We would rather see residential development when it happens to go somewhere else. We ought to keep this as kind of sacred space for a major new employment center. So any thoughts about that right now?
About that little piece of land between Brook Hollow Estates and Bay Meadows?
Yeah.
All that land they own?
You see the purple?
Yeah, like over by where I live.
Purple area.
All the bad smoke goes to 6 months.
This is where I live.
You'll go to that yellow subdivision, you go that towards 6 miles.
I can't see the deal very well, so
Yeah.
I can't read any of it, but
Come sit up here with me.
about the purple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purple Estates. Oh,
You
you mean up in like where Linville was?
industrial there.
It's all vacant right now.
All that
Yeah.
there, right here.
Well, I know that around where I live behind,
Yeah.
we were built by Formosa, our deal, and right across the highway and back, they own all that land. So that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
is that where we're talking?
Behind that.
Yes,
It's business park, but then again, deep industrial north of that.
okay,
It's behind, yeah, it's behind Brook Hollow, not Brook Hollow Estates, but
okay.
That little addition behind the car.
Yeah.
No.
Brook Hollow Estates is at the end of
Smith Road.
It's by Smith Road, by that.
Right.
It's way over
And
there.
there's Jade Bay. I live behind Jade Bay.
Yeah.
So you live right here.
You live in Bayview Estate.
Right before the business district.
In Davis, right behind Jade Bay.
It goes all the way.
Yes.
Way to Bay Meadows. Yeah, huge part.
Huge chunk of land.
Yeah.
Again, what we're thinking, the light purple, the lavender color would be business park where it's very suburban in nature. You're not assembling anything like that. There would be some truck traffic, but we have our thoroughfare plan shows a truck route that would be going away from town. And so we're thinking that the business park area would buffer the existing residential area. It sounds like that's where you live.
Mhm.
But then we would be relegating that whole purple area for potential some sort of industrial.
All your contractor offices would be back behind there, and then you'd actually have the actual work land up even farther.
And also when it comes to zoning industrial, there would be all sorts of buffering requirements, that kind of thing. So there would be a large green space, probably a berm, depending on the amount of opacity to where you can't see it with it could be a wall or fence or like vegetative screen, that kind. So that
The giant berm like they did at
it would
Red.
be very important that we want to separate
Mhm.
residential land use from the industrial, but that's a really important piece of property. It's right on the water.
Formosa wants to develop that.
No, but it is currently aggregated as a single owner
Yes.
outside of a city limit,
Mhm.
which would be perfect for an Amazon warehouse or a new refinery, or anybody could come in and buy tons of acreage from one person and have it outside of a city.
Refinery part I don't like, but if Formosa owns it, because our Bay Vista was built by Formosa for their engineers.
Yeah.
They have a lot of that living, so that if something goes wrong across the bay, their engineers are on this side of the bay.
Yeah.
I don't see them coming in and building a plant like
I
that,
mean, I can tell you.
or expanding.
Most, as in that.
Right.
They are not.
There's no immediate threat.
Right, and they have been,
On this side.
the last 10+ years, they've been too busy making plastics to worry about houses.
Right.
I mean, they're
Well,
they're
it's
carrying,
it's-
they're carrying house point properly. I don't see them
Yeah.
doing anything.
No,
I mean, the purchase, I know that the thought process has always been for the last, what, 40 years, that would be residential.
Mhm.
I know back in the 80s, there was, you know, Formosa did have a concept plan that got started. They were gonna build a big, huge residential subdivision. There's gonna be a golf course in the middle of it with a meandering ditch that took all the rainwater from the north and took it straight up the bay without it going through town. But that never materialized. To be honest with you, this has never been crossed my mind. But looking at it now, I mean, right now, we do not have, and maybe, that's something to think about. If somebody did want to come in and do something that's at least semi-industrial nature, we don't have to, all we've got is,
We basically have relegated that kind of stuff to the county's purview.
If,
And
where would we want that to be?
It would be an awesome thing, but I'm almost sure a couple years back, they thought, remember they wanted to go that road through there to
Yeah.
get to over there and
Yeah.
it never passed. And I'm thinking, how are you gonna build something like that? And there's gonna be even more traffic.
it would be a large undertaking, but somebody would come in with,
Amazon warehouse, not the wood.
yeah, somebody would come in with a bunch of money and a bunch of plans, and they would go, we're gonna do this whole project, and they only have to buy from one person. That's a huge get.
I think basically, if we were to adopt this, I think what we're saying is, as a community, that we would be receptive to industrial development in that location. It doesn't mean that it's gonna happen or anything, it's just if somebody comes in, they say, we as a
Look at that,
community are receptive to that.
right?
But it could still be residential with a golf course and all that too. This is just a future plan.
I mean,
It could, like he said, it could change any day now.
which I guess I'm a little confused on zoning in the ETJ. Because I thought that the ETJ was mostly off limits.
So this is land use,
Right.
not zoning. So
So essentially, if somebody came in and bought it and wanted to do something else, there's not really anything that we,
It is.
most of it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so
In fact, all.
The whole,
I think that's right.
I think the whole thing was.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing is, it looks like the red line for city limits follows that track.
But when it comes to changes, like the future land use map, that's where you would, somebody, if they wanted to build a massive residential subdivision there instead of conduct, they would come before you all and request a variance. And they would make the argument for why that would be, and you guys would say, and I'm not exactly sure how your board is set up, whether you'd have to make a recommendation to council or whether you could do this on your own. But
Well,
it could be changed.
yeah, I'm looking at having a ZBA. If that's what you're asking.
That, okay, the zoning board.
Board of Adjustments, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna, and we were gonna talk about that. That'll be necessary when you set up the
If
zoning,
that's what you, yeah.
for sure.
Um,
But from a land use standpoint, that would be this board making decisions on land use. So how would this future land use map be amended to change that, like that purple area, that could become yellow? That could be a massive residential. I guess what we're thinking about too is revenue generation. So would you rather have a big industry over in Point Comfort, where people are living here and working in Point Comfort? Or would you rather have that here to where you could get the sales tax and the property tax and that kind of stuff?
That's one of the problems we have now is we have industrial close, Point Comfort,
No tax base.
Right.
Green Lake, what have you. But they don't live here. They live in Victoria or they live in Edna.
Yeah.
Or I don't know why. We don't have the housing.
As far as
We don't have attractive businesses.
Formosa expands, Point Comfort dies.
yes.
Yeah,
We lived there 20 years and we still have a house there.
Comfort's basically gone
And it's
because of Formosa.
watched an incident
Land use and zoning. How
and
does
then
that-
everybody would sue.
I guess I'm a little confused.
Dude, that was there when you bought the house.
Oh, no, yeah, I agree.
We're there.
And they'll burn out in a second.
And then there's Exxon. So,
And maybe not.
no, that's what I want, my point is that we've got industrial, we've got jobs, but they don't live here. They live.
So,
That's a whole other issue, but it's an important issue nonetheless.
okay, so with the future land use plan looking like this, and Justin brought it up, how would the zoning map look on that? What would that property be zoned as we move along with these steps?
Important point. So that, Justin, that's your question.
Yeah, basically, I'm wondering if I wanted to buy this land, do I have to come before the planning board for a variance and the zoning board for a variance? And like, how many hoops are involved? Where's the regulation there? Where's the buck stop?
Okay, so, let me summarize that fairly quickly. I'll try to keep it simple, but so with this comprehensive plan,
Mhm.
the future land use map will be adopted. With the adoption of the comp plan, the council will be adopting this future land use map.
Mhm.
That will also be, I believe, based on the recommendation of the planning.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's one thing. Now, if in the future, and this could be 6 months from now, it could be a year from now, in the future, let's say that purple area somebody wants to buy that and create a huge residential sub, then they would come before this board and say, we want to request a variance to the future land use map.
Mhm.
And you all,
What if we have some?
well, okay, so, okay. But so that's how you would change the future land use map. Now, let's say the council adopts zoning, okay, a zoning ordinance. With the zoning ordinance, you're going to have an official zoning map.
Mhm.
And as I was mentioning in the beginning, we like to make sure that there's this one-to-one relationship between a land use designation and a zoning district. So the future land use map will not be dissimilar to this future land use map. But so that purple area would be zoned industrial. So that would be an industrial zoning district. So that's the regulatory piece or instrument that regulates the future land use map. So then whoever, if you wanted to request a variance in the official zoning map, you would go before the Zoning Board of Adjustment, which is a commission similar to this board that will be set up to administer the zoning map. So these are both very liquid documents, if you will. They're very flexible. I mean, they're kind of set in stone, but they're flexible enough to where you can change them around if to meet the needs of the future.
So, okay, to be clear, if the zoning board of adjustments does approve for that industrial to become residential, does that also change the future land use plan?
That would, yes.
That would officially change this. You wouldn't have to come to this.
It would be a higher authority than the land use.
I don't know that. I'm not, to be honest, I don't know that.
We've had a land use map since 2016. And I've always addressed it with saying we have no teeth. We have no actual
right.
It's wet paper. It doesn't do anything. If somebody comes in here and says, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm going to build a golf course on this light industrial turf, we just go, okay, thanks. and so I'm wondering, if somebody was to come in and go, hey, I want to build a residence there, they would need to go before the zoning board of adjustments, essentially.
If you had a zoning ordinance and a zoning map.
If we don't get a zoning ordinance or zoning map, they'd come to us to amend the map, or they just do it anyway.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Ideally not, but what if we said no, I don't want a residence here?
Because you want to preserve it as industrial land.
We want to preserve it as industrial land. Does that hold any kind of weight?
It does, yeah, very much so.
No, without zone. I'm saying without zone. Without zone.
Even from a land use standpoint, if you deny a variance from going from industrial to residential, that holds weight. That means no, you can't build a residence there because we're saving this land for industrial purposes. That's the plan.
I think in our ordinance, somewhere regularly, you gotta say that, because right now, the only regulatory thing we're saying anything as far as our land use has to be manufactured home.
Well, and any non-residential or let's see, apartment complex or non-residential has to go before the planning commission. It doesn't say that it has to be approved by the
to submit. We don't really have any breaks. We just have hoops.
To Jess's point, we need more teeth.
Yeah.
We've been assuming the teeth we need is zone, but
Yes.
maybe there was something in.
There's a future land use map with an adoption by the council, and we can put a little bit of teeth on that.
Well,
before zoning becomes, but anyway, interesting.
I'm uncertain that this isn't laid out in the Texas local government code as well. And I'm sorry that I don't know this, but I will find out about this so I can answer your questions next month. I'm sorry, I just don't.
The objective is, and what we're hearing is, cognizant about this, the idea when we go into zoning, we all want to understand the process. If we adopted this and then somebody comes in with a great idea for residential zoning, what is the process that could still happen? Even though we look at our crystal ball.
My understanding is that it would completely bypass a planning board and go to a zoning board for the.
And technically it would, because the zoning map was adopted by the council.
Right.
That's what's going to be regulated.
Right.
That's a future land use plan.
Right.
So somebody could come in, request a variance to the zoning ordinance and the zoning map to put a golf course in that industrial area. But the future land use plan could still have it as an industrial for future.
Right, in case that goes belly up.
And yeah, right. It's not going to change anything for future planning.
Sure.
It's just going to change the current use.
We would change some nearby ones to accommodate the new thing. I
Could.
planning document being a
That's the way I see it.
I think you're right, but that's what I honestly don't know that if you change the zoning map, the district on the zoning map, does that automatically change the land use on the future land
I
use?
would say no.
I would think that it probably wouldn't because this is a 20-year plan.
Mhm.
And so we're still looking out, even if something was built in the middle of that purple area, it's still saying that everything around it could be industrial.
Industrial, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for the purposes of the planning and the zoning, it's like you are not protected for the character of that environment. Right. I get that. I was just curious about the double appeals process and the
that's a very
for variance finding. I know as a business person, I'm going, how many meetings do I have to get a yes at? And as somebody on one of these boards, what happens when I get a yes on one and a no on the other?
Yeah, right.
Who supersedes what and who do I have to sue?
Well,
And so I want to make sure we're prepared for that.
like I said, just from my experience, it would be you'd go to the zoning board of adjustments,
Yeah.
and it's just one meeting,
Yeah.
and it has no impact on the future land use plan.
Yeah, that's what I was.
So the planning board has nothing to do with the variance request.
That was my
Council doesn't either.
Then we said the future land use map variances and things like that confusing.
We're trying to determine the zoning on this piece of property that we may never get, they're never gonna sell, and we're trying to, I mean, it's their land, and they bought it a certain way, but now we're gonna say, hey, you know what, you own this land, and now we're gonna rezone it, or we're gonna tell you you're gonna have rules?
Well, I mean, zoning is intended
Because I
to
wouldn't
protect the
from
existing.
there. You already have industrial across the street, I want
Yeah,
neighborhood.
we don't want,
No.
That's a conversation to have.
It's the conversation, like I said, if this would show that the community, would be receptive to industrial industry up there. If that is not the case, then no, we wouldn't.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's, I can't see
Pitch
it.
it.
I'm sorry. Where's 6 Mile?
Further up,
Further up.
Is it green or it's not even on the map?
It's slightly shaded.
Right. Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
I'm gonna put the chair right next to me and you can look at this.
Great.
That's my 12.
Can't see.
Come hang out with me.
You're sick.
Last time we hung out, you did catch COVID for me. I'm sorry.
Yes,
about
that's-
that.
Don't breathe, Cheryl, don't breathe.
That was a year and a half ago.
To me, that purple is never gonna be industrial for a reason. For you to go industrial with that purple, you got to raise that bridge for anything to get in here.
well, like Aaron was talking about, and what we had previously discussed when we were visiting about this, Formosa does already own that property.
Yeah.
And like he was saying, there is a future plan for a road, that road to be extended and carried on out to 87.
I want to say that.
So that would help with the traffic on that part.
You can't put a.
And then also, like he said, with the prominent southeast winds, it helps with reducing the noise, the dust, and all that kind of stuff because it's blowing away from town. So instead of like southeast of town and you're having it all blow into town.
What to do? Well, I understand that, Derek.
That's why we were discussing the possibility of up there.
Maybe I'm wrong, way off, Derek, but if you build a plant there, you have to get the ships in.
Well, and that's
You
yeah.
have to raise the bridge.
No, but
It's not gonna happen.
well, you hurt Gary. He's building a taller bridge.
We moved.
And then Justin's gonna dig out that ditch over there, Point Comfort. That way bigger boats can get in there and we got industrial right there.
I got
So we had more people in high school than high school than there is in high school.
Yeah, I graduated in 75.
Yeah.
And we had 300 something senior.
But with the truck traffic, somebody had mentioned Amazon, something like that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Manufacturing, not really like Formosa, but more it's like a huge boat trailer company or something, or who knows.
So,
And that-
Downtown.
but I mean, if you all had real heartburn about that being industrial,
Was open.
we could change the color and make it business park for that kind of Amazon related
Yes.
kind of development. Which would be basically tilt wall construction and it would be quiet and you could. It'd be just like a normal kind of business park, so that's another
I
alternative.
think the gut reaction in the community is probably gonna be like this, no way, you know.
But is it no way because of all of the logistical hurdles like dredging, like the bridge, that kind of thing, because.
Yeah.
These
But it
guys,
can
they're
be
interested in building there, those are small, I would think those are kind of small hurdles.
Yeah, that's.
Comes down.
The text is the place, the bridge, and they're in a very conversation.
Straight over into it.
Interesting.
But that's part of town.
Okay,
They will not do what? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They'll have to go higher.
There's a huge wreck on there today, that's why I was
There's no
running
need
this late.
to put the
If you have a wreck on.
If we're not
Causeway,
gonna get any ships in there.
Yeah, the old
It's coming. from-
utilization of Formosa's ships on the backside, nobody's run a barge underneath the home.
For the garage.
It's the beam. It's the beam dredging. Yeah.
okay. Again, I think the reason why we're thinking industrial is again for a revenue generation kind of element in your future land use map. There's a whole lot of different places where you can put residential development around the city in your ETJ. So this is just it's a special piece of land for a lot of reasons. And so we're willing to, we're willing to talk to you about this and figure out what you want to see there, but we just see that that's a very valuable piece of property. So that could be,
Industrial use.
yeah,
But
right. So,
understood.
A lot of potential in that land.
Mhm.
A lot of potential in that land.
Oh,
That's really.
But I just, I don't. most of
The
Whether they will or will not sell it is semantics.
yeah.
It's, the point is the possibility for that land is what's important.
exactly right. Yeah, it's what's possible there. We just don't want you to get locked into a big residential development that could have gone further west or,
Change it to.
yeah, so, okay. So that's kind of where we're going with this, but,
It was.
yeah, this is our first view of this. We welcome, the next conversation. So, moving on.
We moved it to.
This is just a quick slide showing the differences between the two. You can see that very area in the 2016 comp plan or future land use map is all designated mixed use. So that the planners that developed your earlier comp plan, they thought that was a special area as well. But they also had, they bracketed it with residential land use on both sides of it, right on the waterfront. So that we were not informed by, when we thought of that industrial area, it wasn't because of what we saw in the 2016 future land use map, but I'm interested that they are similar. Okay, moving on. Okay, Brianna, I'll let you talk about the thoroughfare.
This is our draft of our thoroughfare plan. The goal is to provide additional routes for local traffic so that maybe residents on the north side don't have to go across 35 every time they need to go south somewhere. So we have this loop where the dark pink line is a major collector that's proposed that connects to Gin Road and 87. And then there's also that extension, it's a little hard to see in the yellow, that connects also from Gin Road down to Austin Street. And so that would create like a loop for the outer edge of Port Lavaca, as well as that extension of of, I forgot the name of the street that's on the other side of Rosenbaum Road. But it extends to connect to Virginia Street so that, there's also another way across for, like future local traffic coming through. Also some spots that were noted for intersection improvements. Noted that several at those locations had several crashes, especially like more severe crashes. And so we would like to see improvements to those intersections to improve safety for vehicle traffic as well as pedestrian and bicycle traffic.
Which intersections are you talking about?
So there'd be intersections of Pathway and 35,
Okay.
Virginia Street and 35. Basically, there's like several intersections along 35.
And that little dotted, is that going through Brook Hollow Estates?
Sorry, say that.
That's going to the end of Smith Road.
The purple
Okay.
dots? Yeah.
It's above,
Yeah, that's at the end of Smith Road going all.
So you gotta go through Smith Road to Trinidad neighborhood and leave.
You go down, it dead ends, and then, yeah, it go,
I
it tap
think they
in.
fought that already. It said no.
and so.
Uh,
But
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
They put speed bumps in money.
That's because it's for most of
Yeah.
maybe for most of the, you know.
blocks of downtown will become one way.
Yeah, right.
And
Yes.
Yeah, that's all, we've taken that into consideration. The way we're looking at this is that over the next 10 to 20 years, depending on whether or not there is significant development here, that could change everything, but we do see, so that's why we're not proposing a whole bunch of different streets and that kind of thing, just because we recognize that these things cost a lot of money and we don't see necessarily the value of extending more streets other than the one Brianna brought up, which is that kind of that bypass around the northern area. And that would be particularly helpful depending on what happened with that huge piece of land right up there. So
That would open up,
And it would also get
more development
local
along
traffic
that road,
going that
you know,
way,
so that
except
would
for
be-
town.
yeah.
Well, for most of the land, and it's their traffic that's a big, huge problem. That would give them.
That would give them a whole other way to get.
There'd be-
Does that connect to 6? Will that connect?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
that would
good.
go way out. I'm looking at this
It's got
one.
a
Independence
1090.
kick. That's interesting. Never thought about that. But this one, yeah, this one would jump you all the way out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Instead of catching it come down 35.
Independence.
to 1080 or-
Over to 87.
Yeah.
Never thought about that.
Huh?
Not through the backside, especially if we're gonna get like a rodeo arena there.
That's gonna go out Smith Road and then, right?
Smith Road across the back.
It's gonna go out Smith Road and then.
That's
Right in the back.
That's the big thing you run into there, Tommy Mays land and stuff like that.
So there might not be
Whose land is
the
that?
impetus for that right now, but again, if depending on what happened north of town, that could be a very important arteria.
Yeah, you just jump it up to the.
Yeah.
We were to, we adopt this, which, we have a thoroughfare plan in our current one, which is very similar, I think, to this. But what this does, then, we've adopted this plan, so if somebody comes in and they want to develop something in there, we have adopted a thoroughfare plan, so we can make them dedicate right away to us
Exactly.
in their development.
Right.
That.
If they're buying some.
That's the teeth. That's the teeth you were looking for, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for them to do the improvements.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right away, yeah.
To do this project, you're gonna have to put a sidewalk in, you're gonna have to
Exactly right.
do this and that,
Like an impact fee.
Seriously.
infrastructure and everything.
Necessarily force them to build us, lane road or 2-lane road or whatever, but
Yeah.
them and they would have to dedicate the right.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Can I ask, how come you guys didn't just jump up a little farther to just take over this Rosenbaum run? And eat that old, eat that existing easement?
There was something in the aerial photography that,
Just this intersection here, maybe?
yeah, there was,
I'm just wondering how it was easier to pay the.
I'd asked the same question, now I can't remember
I know,
what.
it's like the answer.
Yeah. there's also the rail.
It's been answered, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, if you have to cross the railroad,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I,
big trouble.
yeah, I don't want to cross the railroads.
Well, the railroad doesn't want any more crossings.
No, exactly.
Let's do something different in
You
California.
gotta build a giant overpass.
Yeah, you have to jump.
So why we connected it to Jim Rose so that it already has that access
You have
point.
to build that, save you $1 million. Yeah, yeah. I know, that's not a scam, man.
Easy.
Leonie, you wanna, or you want me to talk about the truck route plan? Or why don't you go ahead?
I can only start, feel free to
Yeah.
jump in, yeah. Okay, so this is, the lines in purple are the proposed truck routes, which take into account the new, or the roads that are gonna be changing Main Street to downtown one ways.
Right, well, I'm just preface this, but I'm gonna pay very close attention because we may not be able to change it because it's taken us 10 years to get, maybe even longer than that to get, we're finally getting our truck route signs for the ones we adopted years ago. So I don't know that we want to change. Okay.
Yeah, no, I remember that. That was the first thing we did.
So, essentially, we're keeping traffic away from both the downtown area and also like, high residential areas like, schools, parks, areas where people are gonna be the most active, and we don't want large trucks running down like those areas where they could
Good idea.
potentially interact. And so, those circles are also, like proposed, not necessarily like physical buffers, but some sort of deterrent. Like to keep trucks like on that route so that they're not like, oh, I want to go from the Harbor of Refuge straight up Virginia Street.
No.
Yeah, it's like, no, we're not, yeah, there's gonna be something that's like, no, you can't do that.
And this was.
Can see him just jumping down Cedar Street.
Yeah.
It's just so you know, the current
Yeah.
truck routes that we have, we'll work with TxDOT. You got, if you're coming from the north, you gotta stay on 35 all the way down, and then you can turn,
Yes.
turn left on the Main Street, and then you gotta go down Alcoa, FM 1090, and stay on that. Yeah, you can't keep going up past the Harbor of Refuge of Virginia Street. That's basically it as far as, and then if you come into town and you go either way you want on 35, but you can't get going.
That turn right there is hell. It's its own barrier. You gotta get an 18-wheeler. I've been stuck at a green light because an 18-wheeler got himself stuck
Oh, no.
at that turnaround. And he couldn't back out.
Just,
That's Virginia and
Virginia and
Austin.
Austin.
So wet.
oh, yeah.
You can't make that.
No, it's.
You can't
You
make
need to
that.
keep away from,
If you're straight.
238 needs to, they need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
They get to 35 or
Yeah.
87.
I mean, that's already a.
238,
So maybe.
Yeah.
That's right.
there's a coffee corner right there that, you just don't need trucks there. I ran over the curb.
Another route from Virginia and Austin, what other route can you send us? You can't.
Well, where,
Going down
it
Commerce.
depends on their destination. You can,
90.
you can't stop a truck from going to a destination in town, right? If the Lax Furniture is dropping off furniture, they're gonna go where they're gonna go. This is all the industrial traffic running through town. And the idea is like, they don't for nothing and then drive on through. And if they're here doing business, they should go back this way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you don't want, I would even argue, you want this corner gone.
Yeah,
If you want the routing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we would prefer as well.
Yeah. Is that, that's,
Tight turn.
when you're coming up the causeway, the only option is to go straight.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about anybody at Harbor of Refuge, the new trucks, station they're building here. We talked to them, everybody knows you gotta go this way.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
cause that needs, that's.
May we take that route, that coastal northern route out?
Take it off.
I think you cut that back.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good.
And then I don't
Yeah.
know what this little stick right here is, but maybe.
That was just to get,
Also,
if there was any need for truck traffic or in whatever that businesses were there that required some truck traffic, but
If you require truck traffic, you have it.
So they're not,
The
they're not
actual-
gonna be allowed to go down Austin all the way to
You know what I mean?
Commerce.
No, you can't go, once you, at the intersection of. I mean, I get, if you, no, as far.
If I'm going down Alcoa, then I'll take a left on Austin.
Yeah, if the only,
No.
way you can go left on Austin is if you have a delivery.
If you have a destination that requires that, but as far as routing goes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
Here for a route at all.
I was thinking they were still able to go to Commerce. Okay.
No,
No more.
no.
Good. Good idea.
No, yeah, I mean, that should be brought all the way, this whole leg.
take that.
The whole Austin
And then
needs to
this should
go.
have a barrier here.
Yeah.
At the edge of the thing, because that's when you start to enter into residential.
Yep.
And
And
it should be you already messed up sign.
Back up.
Turn around.
Our plan.
Yeah.
Finally adopted after years of hard.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this is pretty close though.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
How do the trucks know where they're supposed to go?
That's what, they have signs with there's signs, see, right now, so you understand, we have had an ordinance in place for a
Right.
long time. You enforce it because the signs are.
Oh,
Right now, it took us too long, but it took us several years to finally agree on the exact routing and signage from TxDOT. TxDOT is responsible for all the smaller signs. We are responsible for these great big signs. We have purchased, we're waiting on some poles and then we'll get them installed. TxDOT, that's in the project they're working on right now at each of the intersections. That's part of their project, putting these truck signs. Once our signs are up and their signs are up, we're all signs up, then we can enforce.
so 1090 is not anywhere on the truck route, right?
Austin.
No. No,
No,
no, no.
1090
Coming from Victoria.
1090,
Yes, you can't go past 35. You can come down,
I guess, but
but once you get 35, you can't go down Virginia Street.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's also if we do close road extension.
Yeah.
That can also be an additional truck route
Mhm.
lanes.
So we're like hypersensitive to this because we just finished about a year ago, a comprehensive plan for the village of Elwood, Illinois, which is just south of Joliet. But Elwood is right beside, it's a little community of about, I don't know, it's like 5,000 people or so, but it was right next door to the biggest intermodal terminal in the country where they move stuff off of trains and put them on trucks. So they had these like semis coming through downtown, and it was like this little village, right? But coming through downtown, going right by the elementary school, the people were like, it was keeping them up all night long. So they were like freaking out about this to the point where in our comp plan, they wanted us to install these barriers that cars and smaller trucks could get under, but semis, they couldn't get through these barriers. So that's why we started thinking in these terms. So
Was it the trucks that actually helped develop that town?
She's not.
no, actually, that town was there before the.
Oh, okay.
She's talking about this one that goes between.
Okay, good, good.
That wouldn't incorporate a Smith turn.
Okay.
So I know
Sure don't
you said you
care.
wanted to enable truck traffic without establishing a route here in the center of town, and I think now I'm in the way of it. This dropping here
No,
and the barrier, we would be cutting that back as well.
right, we don't want.
Right, I just wanted to know, because I said that about this lower part, I haven't said that about Broadway, because once you get here to the Walmart cutoff, that's your last chance to get out of town.
Good.
Right.
We should probably just put something there at the Walmart going,
That's right.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
okay, cool, very good.
Brianna, I'm gonna let you talk about the active transportation plan as well.
Or something for dinner? or-
Jody, we need pizza, honey.
Well, it's on its way.
Is it on its way?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 more minutes? You got it. I got you.
Oh, I'm sorry, let me just ask, do we have a hard cutoff at all? We were hoping to get you all out of here by 7:00.
When they get cranky, they just start walking out. When you lose your quorum, you lose your quorum.
Yeah.
We only have, we'll try to wrap this up, but okay.
Only whip them into shape so long. Before they.
So our proposed active transportation plan draft focuses on connecting, basically my vision for like you guys in this was wherever you are on this path, you can get to any school, any park, any business, or at least like pedestrian, like neighborhood businesses. And you can do it safely and also efficiently. And you have, or you can also just take a leisurely stroll around the city. And so the purple is our shared use path that we propose. So it goes up Broadway Street, which I know there is, wait, is that the area where there's a bike lane already?
No.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, it's just Smith Fries.
It's connected to your multimodal trail.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sorry, Brianna, so a shared use facility would be an 8 to 10 foot wide protected, like a wide sidewalk that bicycles could go on, e-bikes, e-scooters, golf carts, pedestrians. It would have 2 lanes, one for going fast and one for going slow, but it'd be 2-way. But so it'd only be on one side of the road, but that's what the facility would look like. Do you have any pictures of that?
I do, it's actually on the next slide, which maybe we should go to that one and then come back.
Okay.
to this. So here are some pictures that I wanted to illustrate as examples of what these different types of facilities can look like. This is not like a 1-for-1, like, oh yeah, shared use path is gonna look like this 100% of the time. But just an example. So you have space for both pedestrians and bikes on these paths to walk, and they're typically along an existing roadway. And that would be their main distinguishing feature from the off-street path, which is going to be, it could be a path through a park. It could be a path through like a developed land where you're like, oh, put some trails through here. And so that could either be paved like this, or it could be gravel. It could be dirt. And then we have our buffered bike lane, which is the on-street bike lane facility. So I know you guys have a couple painted bike lanes already. And so we recommend for the future, like having buffered bike lanes, especially along those higher speed roads, just as a physical protection for people that are using those facilities.
You feel something before you feel the biker when you're on your phone.
This is one example of how it can be buffered. It can be a cement cast, it can be bollards, it could be armadillos, something to keep car traffic from veering into that lane.
Exactly. Concrete dolphins.
Yeah.
And then our additional facility is a bike. We have our bike route, which we recommend this being through residential areas where there's like lower traffic, people like you don't have high speed traffic. So it's generally like slower residential areas, and you have signage that indicates it's like, hey, this is a bike path. Please be aware and share the road. And then those Sharo symbols can also add on to that bike route, just to add as like more visual indicators to drivers that they need to be aware of cyclists sharing the road though. Yes.
If I may, we just completed an active transportation plan for another village of Downers Grove up in Illinois. It's a suburb of Chicago, but one thing that we did within that plan was with the bike routes and the Sharos, which are basically one and the same thing. What we did to enforce that, and again, as Brianna was mentioning, bike routes are where you've got low traffic, so you're sharing the road. Bicyclists and cars, trucks, they're sharing the road. But what we did to enforce that was we for the designated bike routes, We improved lighting as well, so cyclists could have lighting so where they're riding at night. And we also increased the amount of fines that would be levied for cars that were going too fast on that road. The fines would be doubled. We did some other improvements like that as well. But so there are ways of enforcing a designated bike route, keeping it safe rather than just having a protected bike lane.
Just thinking that little Shero symbol is about the same size as our current speed bumps as well. So, you know, a
Oh,
little,
yeah, seen some heroes that are painted onto the speed bumps.
oh yeah. Because then you can just go around them.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, so what we're trying to do is come up with a variety of ways that people can get from point A to point B safely, because not everybody can afford a car. The younger generations now, they don't even want a car. They want to be able to live in a walkable kind of environment. So we want to make that possible for people. So going back to your plan.
So, yeah, so a lot of the, anything that was a major roadway, and that had, didn't have current like sidewalk, improvements. Those were areas that we thought would be appropriate for, shared use paths. And then, the dots where the bike route is indicated, those are areas where the right of way is limited. And also going through residential areas. And so that there would be the opportunity to make that a safer path for people that are using those facilities.
And one thing that Brianna didn't mention is that it was very important to be able to get people across your major arterials like 35 and 238, et cetera, safely, especially when it comes to golf carts. And so that's another reason why the roads that cross these major arterials, those crossings we chose because they can be improved to the point where you can have golf carts and stuff going.
Golf carts aren't allowed.
Are the green squiggles just?
They're not allowed
You don't have golf
at
carts.
all.
No, you can't cross the 35 definitely.
They can't at all. Oh, okay.
No. You can cross from Pojo's to Travis. You can do that.
Yeah, we had another discussion, had council discussion about
The green
I guess about 5 or 6
trail.
So the greens are off-street paths or trails.
Okay.
Those will be going through.
I see just like cutting across here, going around the park.
Yeah.
And okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's thinking for green.
Biking.
And then also, so if we do consider golf carts being able to access the north side of the city, is that a possibility, Derek, or is that?
I'm sorry?
Oh, you're good. If we are going to include like golf carts being able to access the north side of the city, is that like on the table at all, or are we just saying, sorry, you can't go north of 30?
Oh, I think it might be something to consider, yeah.
I think
I think it's just a safety issue was a concern and that's why they were limited on where they can go.
the limitation was that they wouldn't be allowed to travel up and down 35, right? But we talked about being able to jump 35 of them.
I was thinking we did say it.
Yeah, we talked
Only at
about
Smith Road, only at Smith Road.
not over at Travis and Pojo's and all that with all the stuff they've been doing.
Okay, then
Pretty sure you can take a
Yeah.
golf cart to the liquor
I'm
store.
gonna say yes. I've seen that same person
Pretty sure.
all the time.
I'm just saying legally.
Where from? Road.
Let me call the city councilman and see if he can give me a ride.
On
That's
Travis
gotcha.
all the time.
I think we may have misunderstood the ordinance when it passed. Have more public comments than recorded.
Now, as we're done, I think they're providing pedestrian access walkways across each of their sections.
Yeah.
If we could get, do you have any additional information on that?
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
perfect.
Like kids going, walking to school, to hospital,
So yeah, I got a question.
their job or
Let me
whatever.
tell you what I seen. I was sitting at the light house.
Do we have even?
And I seen some people cross on the other side of 35, walking down toward Gunnaberger. Are we planning to put
To
any
get
walkways there?
Good.
Cause I was
I know,
like,
because it always worries me.
okay, cause I was wondering, cause I was like, man, if a car come behind you, you're done. And they sit there across from that lighthouse on to the other side, walking down 35.
It just
I
takes.
just always see.
Which
You
You got money for us, Steve?
Huh?
You got money for us?
I'm money for what?
And by
On the sidewalk?
Well,
I'm pretty sure I can come up with it.
But yeah, the orange lines on this map represent sidewalks, so you'd have one going right down 35.
Mhm.
So.
You don't have existing versus proposed on there? It's just sidewalk?
Existing on,
Yeah, it's the thicker line is the proposed, and then the thinner lines are the existing.
I don't see a difference.
No.
I don't see it.
We don't have very much.
You might need to redo that one. That one's hard for me to grasp.
are you talking about the line weight?
Sidewalk line work?
Yeah, we'll work on that. Why don't you put that? Okay. But right, this is more of a,
We're here.
yeah, this is for internal purpose.
Yeah, it's just for, as a note.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about zoning. A lot of this we've already kind of talked about, but when you're thinking about the Texas Local Government Code and what the state wants to mandate in a zoning ordinance, these are some of the kind of considerations that we can consider. Now, we had a conversation with Derek the other day, and I'm not putting you on the spot, Derek, at this point, but what Derek's point was that there's a certain, we don't want to go overboard when it comes to regulating certain things. Like when it comes to community character, yes, regulating, like in an existing neighborhood, regulating the setbacks, regulating where the driveways are, regulating maybe the height of the house. You don't want a 4-story house in a series of like ranch style house or something like that. But how far should we be considering going when it comes to regulating, when it comes to like zoning districts and residential districts? Do you want to go as far as, I mean, there are places like, for example, Santa Fe, New Mexico, where they have this Pueblo revival style where all the houses have got to look like they're out of bedrock, Flintstone and stuff. But
The state of Texas gives you the right to build with whatever material meets code, right? So you can't really regulate everybody being an Adobe brick house.
yeah, we don't want
fair enough.
But as far as like some of these things like utilization of lot size and there are some things in there I think we could probably
Okay, good.
regulate it.
That's what that's as far as we would like to go, as well as lot size, setbacks, and that kind of thing, because that when you're driving down a road, you can see that houses are all lined up. You don't want one, all the way out,
Yeah.
right on the edge of the street or something.
Sure, yeah.
So that's how we're going to be approaching, making recommendations to Derek about what should be in the zoning ordinance. Again, some of these, the intentions when it comes to zoning in Port Lavaca, we want to make sure that these districts that we include, and we're looking at 12 zoning districts right now. The what you have on the right is what has been tried in the past with respect to your unified development code, and you can see that it's complicated, and we want this going in. We want to be as simple as possible. So it's going to be more simplified than your previous attempts at creating zoning districts, but it is going to require updating definitions, all of that kind of stuff when it comes to creating these various zoning districts. And please forgive me, Kristen, our colleague Kristen Emshoff, she's our zoning person, and she was unable to make it tonight at the last minute, but these were all her slides to be talking about. So I'm kind of I don't mean to oversimplify them, but so here we have the 12 zoning districts that represent, once again, a one-to-one relationship with the permitted land uses as well. So we would also be, when it comes to zoning standards, thinking about building height, lot size and setbacks, bulk and density, parking, all of those kind of considerations. And they'd only be considerations that could potentially impact your neighbor. So that's how we would frame this. We don't want to allow something that would then enable somebody to impact their neighbor. So that's where the regulation would come in. But where we'd also be laying out what are the non-conforming uses, what would require a specific use permit, and then all of the processes and procedures that you'd have to go through in order to file for a zoning permit, building permit, et cetera. Again, these are the kind of considerations that we would be thinking about, as we've already talked about. Upon adoption of zoning, again, the Texas state law mandates consistency with the comprehensive plan, compliance with the Open Meetings Act, enforcement of the zoning regulations, and then setting up a zoning board of adjustment to administer variances to the zoning rules after the official zoning map has been adopted. And we'll get into a lot more about that with you in the weeks to come. Lastly, our next step is to really start evaluating your whole waterfront, and we're developing, if you will, a plan that is informed by all the other plans that you've developed for downtown, for your waterfront, when it comes to circulation, land use, the highest and best use for creating value along your waterfront. So this is just a base map right now. This is, and we're always constrained by, what you can look at on a computer screen or what you can look at in a printed plan. This represents an 11 by 34 inch map. So it would be a double map that would fold out, but so we would have a bunch of blow ups along here that you could see, again, a lot more detail. But so this is the next thing we're going to be working on. We're actually working on it right now, but we'll be ready to present this to you all the next time you will invite us to come before you, which hopefully will be in the next month.
That'd be nice.
So with that, and importantly, and we know it's important to you all, that creating that relationship between what's going on in downtown and what's going on your waterfront, because it's within walking distance. There's got to be a relationship to keep people in Port Lavaca. So with that, that's all we've got for you right now. I know that's a whole lot to digest. We, with Jody's permission, we're happy to share this presentation with you. And it's on your it's on your flash drive, so you all can send that out.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, that's
Oh,
right.
is that your flash drive?
It's the one that Christine gave me.
Okay, so it's ours.
Well, it's ours now then.
Spill up.
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah.
Got a question. The next time we meet, could we get the presentation and put it on our computers? It'd make it a lot easier.
Yeah,
We had the chapter stuff. We didn't have
we
this.
didn't have that.
Okay.
Would have been really,
Yeah,
Yeah, if we can get that in advance and we can set them up, so make sure that they.
We didn't.
you got old people with old eyes.
Fine.
One.
I just got justice.
Sure, we're not gonna be able to get you a bigger monitor though, okay?
I thought this worked out great, but I don't know.
All right, you have the biggest monitor, right?
Can you see it, Joe?
I can see it here.
Any other questions or anything while we're here? Or if we may, we'd like to come back to see you all your next regularly scheduled meeting.
It'll be this month.
In like 2 weeks.
Wait,
Oh,
you wanna
yeah,
wait?
I guess it would have to, I'm gonna be out of town next week, so it's 2 weeks from now? Because we could conceivably do that if, we're blowing and going right now, so, and we need feedback, and so.
It's the next meeting.
Yeah, 24th.
Sounds right.
Is that Wednesday?
Yes.
No, that's, we have to do it on.
No, 31st. 31st.
31st.
Yeah, it's gonna be, a
You want-
little over 2 weeks.
31st of April.
Oh, that's right. There's an extra Tuesday.
That's okay with you.
24th.
No, it'd be the 31st, the last Tuesday.
Okay,
We're currently on last Tuesday. We're
Yeah.
moving to fourth Wednesday.
Yeah.
got it.
So they're gonna be here on the 31st.
31st.
Okay, we're moving to fourth.
Fourth Wednesday.
I missed the first.
That's-
meeting.
yeah.
Tuesday.
Fourth Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Anybody has any conflicts with that?
You did.
Yeah. You have to finish out March.
A bunch of other stuff, but
We
we
would
will revisit future land use map. So.
You mean kitchen?
Yeah, yeah.
There, we're
having a meeting.
I think there, meetings were on what airs.
And we'll switch out.
And that's at 5:30.
It's the last.
Oh, okay.
Last meeting.
Okay, I'll be at that.
Which is,
Yeah, you're not bowling yet.
all right. Is there anything else for us to consider? Because I think everybody's getting antsy.
We're still bowling.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
It's at 5:30.
Second and third, and let's get out of here.
Okay.